Chapter 191 The Birth of the Holy Lotus Sect. Xuanjin, Earth Shenjin Butterfly. Type: Psylocke. Level: 8th Tier Bloodline. Skill: Mystic Gold Spirit Soil. Can transform ordinary land into special Mystic Gold Spirit Soil, providing additional bonuses when planting metal attributes spiritual plants. Earth Vein Shaping. Reconstructing the underground spiritual veins or the direction of the earth veins to maintain the balance of spiritual energy and the flow of earth veins within a certain area. Mineral Vein Stimulant. Possessing the ability to accelerate the growth of spiritual veins or mineral veins. Details. It is a master of terrain shaping, possessing the earthly mystic butterfly, which will surely make spatial distribution even more perfect. Xiuxian, Pure Jade Butterfly. Type: Psylocke. Level: 8th Tier Bloodline. Skill: Jade Nourishment. Can emanate the light of jade to protect spiritual plants from pests, diseases, fire, lightning strikes, etc., and can also revitalize spiritual plants that are on the verge of withering. Reincarnation and Rebirth. Enables rapid breeding and improves seed quality. The withering of plants during the breeding process will extract pure wood essence. All things coexist, but different spiritual plants can grow harmoniously in the same area, forming a complementary relationship and accelerating their growth. Details. It can solve all the negative problems of spiritual plants, providing them with more comfortable and perfect growing conditions. With it present, the space will surely become more vibrant. After reading the information, Zhou Yun nodded in satisfaction. The weavers have truly undergone a transformation from the source of their bloodline, and their planting talents have become even stronger. It is likely that the Pengyun space will become even more vibrant under their care. Looking up at them, I asked, "How are you feeling?" "Very good, thank you, Master." 3 butterflies circled around Zhou Yun, expressing their gratitude in unison. "Then you should go back and stabilize your cultivation level first, and properly adapt to the changes in your bodies. There's no need to rush to work," Zhou Yun said softly. "Okay." As they flew away, Zhou Yun's gaze suddenly fell on the spot where they had broken through, where 3 cocoon-like objects remained. He waved them over and brought them to his side, a hint of surprise flashing in his eyes. Was this thing what enveloped their bodies during the breakthrough? Zhou Yun hadn't expected that their breakthrough would leave behind something like this. He called out to the departing figures of the creatures, including the weaver girl. "I'll take this one." "Yes, Master." Looking at the spot where Zhou Yun disappeared, the 3 butterflies exchanged glances, a hint of reluctance in their eyes. They originally intended to use that thing for decoration, but since their owner wanted it, they couldn't refuse. Zhou Yun didn't think that much about it. He was just thinking about the timeless ephemeral cyclops that was auctioned last time. The creature's weaving and spirit butterflies are, in a sense, remnants of insect cocoons. I wonder if I'll get any unexpected results after strengthening them. Simply place the 3 items in front of you and enhance them together. They were enveloped by a rich, golden, enhanced light, which dissipated after a long time. A notification sound from Xiaobai rang in my ears. "Congratulations, Master, on completing the 5-fold enhancement and obtaining the 6th grade superior quality fragrance life cocoon, profound gold jade cocoon, and azure spirit dust-wielding cocoon." Zhou Yun checked the information and found that the effects were not particularly outstanding, but the abilities of Jiming and the others before their enhancement were somewhat similar. The Pengyun merchant ship is not short of these things. After all, they are related to Jiming and the others. Let them use them as a nest. They should be very comfortable living there. Zhou Yun waved his hand, and the 3 items in front of him turned into streaks of light and disappeared into the air. After these 2 enhancements, Zhou Yun discovered that enhancing 1 item at a time was better than enhancing many items together. Only by increasing the number of enhancement attempts can there be a greater chance of achieving a tenfold enhancement. It seems I can't be lazy anymore. Unless there's a special need, it's better to do things one by one. Outside, the atmosphere within the joyful church is unusually heavy. The Buddha of Joy sat on the throne with an exceptionally gloomy expression, emanating a chilling aura. The people standing below lowered their heads, and no one dared to utter a sound. After the Buddha of Rebirth took away the demon-slaying pill, he immediately rushed back to the sect, but unfortunately he was too late. That vile woman, Miao Chu, had betrayed him. If it weren't for him, could Miao Chu have cultivated to the integration realm? What an ungrateful wretch! His gaze swept coldly downwards. There was no need to kill those people he had originally intended to eliminate. "You may leave now," said the joyful Buddha, waving his hand. He himself disappeared from everyone's sight, respectfully bidding farewell to the Buddha. The crowd shouted in unison. Only after the aura of the Buddha of Joy disappeared did their fear gradually subside. At this moment, the departing blissful Buddha arrived at the meditation chamber. A golden bead appeared in his hand. It was the Buddha relic he had obtained from the Pengyun auction. "I was delayed because of the Buddha's child matter and haven't had the chance to use it until now. Buddha of Rebirth, are you afraid?" the joyful Buddha murmured, staring at the Buddha relic. After calming down, the joyful Buddha also figured out why the Rebirth Buddha had run away with the Freedom Seed demon pill. Having the Buddha's relics, he had already made the Buddha of Rebirth feel threatened. "However, do you think a single 7th tier magic core can defeat me? You're in for a disappointment." After the Buddha of Joy finished speaking, he tilted his head back and swallowed the Buddha relic into his stomach. He then entered a meditative state and began to practice his techniques, with a faint golden light flowing around his body. As mentioned at the auction, the free spirit pill can only inflict damage on Buddhist cultivators in the late Mahayana stage, but it cannot take their lives. His current goal is to raise his cultivation to the great ascension perfection, or even half a step towards tribulation, before the Freedom Seed demon pill matures. When that time comes, how will you deal with the Buddha who has attained rebirth in the Pure Land? When the struggle for the Buddha's relics came to an end, the Gaju, a term referring to the overall situation or landscape of the western regions, was already determined. "Buddha of Rebirth, what do you have to compete with me with? A mere mortified pill doesn't seem like you can threaten me. Dream on." As the Buddha of Joy pondered this, the circulation of his cultivation technique accelerated. Doing so would inevitably cause a great deal of the Buddha's power contained within the Buddha relic to be lost, but he doesn't have time to absorb it slowly now. He didn't know how long it would take for the Freedom Seed demon pill to mature, so he could only speed up the absorption of the Buddha relic. Both sides are now frantically racing against time. In the end, it will depend on whether the joyful Buddha's strength increases first, or whether the Freedom Seed demon pill obtained by the Rebirth Buddha matures first. While the two Buddhas were fighting, a small sect was quietly rising within the territory of the joyful sect. Dozens of people were gathered in a secluded square, their faces filled with piety as they looked at the plump figure on the high platform. This fat man is none other than Fat Tuor, the city lord of Food Fragrant City, and also the current administrator of the Holy Lotus sect. A corrupt world sinks into chaos, a blood lotus descends. As Pang Tuor spoke, the people below looked on with madness and shouted in unison. "When the world is in decline, the blood lotus descends. Where the sacred lotus passes, a pure land is established. When the world is in decline, the blood lotus descends. Where the sacred lotus passes, a pure land is established." "Stop!" Fat Tuor raised his arm, and the cheers of the crowd ceased. Then, everyone lined up in an orderly fashion and stepped forward. There, a crystal ball was floating in front of Fatty Tuor. Each Buddhist practitioner who steps forward infuses a trace of golden primordial Buddhist power into it. Chapter 192: The Last Auction in the Western Regions. After collecting the Buddha's power, Pang Tuor came to a door and waited respectfully. At this moment, Lin Xiaoxiao was sitting cross-legged on the bed. The usually holy and pure moonlight, upon closer inspection, revealed wisps of faint black energy swirling around it. "Aha!" Lin Xiaoxiao's face was deathly pale, and fine beads of sweat appeared on her forehead. She gritted her teeth and silently endured the pain, as if she were experiencing immense suffering. "I don't know what she's been through lately, but the aura she exudes has become increasingly cold and eerie, making people afraid to approach her." Noticing Pang Tuo's attack, Lin Xiaoxiao slowly opened her eyes. He forced himself to stand up and staggered outside. After the door opened, Pang Tuo walked in and saw Lin Xiaoxiao's bloodless face. He couldn't help but remind him, "Sir, you've been working too hard lately. You should take care of your health." He knew his master's obsession with the origins of Buddhism and Taoism, and that he had been going out hunting for Buddhist practitioners recently. Fortunately, the adults never laid a hand on their own stronghold. But for some reason, the more Buddhist monks the adults hunted, the worse their physical condition became. "Take it out," Lin Xiaoxiao said coldly, ignoring Pang Tuo's words. Pang Tuo naturally understood the meaning behind the adult's words and handed over the crystal ball. Lin Xiaoxiao extracted a ball of golden Buddhist power and threw the crystal ball back. "The speed is a bit slow." Bang! After saying that, he closed the door. Back in her room, Lin Xiaoxiao took out the Black Lotus, carefully held the power of the Buddha and Tao in her hands, and slowly poured it into the Black Lotus. As the power of Buddhist and Taoist origins was injected, the cracks on the surface of the Black Lotus began to heal little by little. However, this amount of origin power was far from enough to completely heal the cracks in the Black Lotus. "Not enough, too slow," Lin Xiaoxiao said softly, her fingertips stroking the surface of the Black Lotus as if trying to soothe its wounds. As the cracks on the surface of the Black Lotus decreased, she knew that the method was effective and that the senior on the Pengyun merchant ship had not lied to her. She wasn't afraid of hardship or difficulties. What she feared most was having no hope and no way to save Lord Blood Lotus. With a wave of his hand, he put away the Black Lotus. Lin Xiaoxiao stood still, releasing all the moonlight power within her body. He frantically circulated his cultivation technique, controlling the black energy that had seeped into the surface of the moonlight to slowly move and condense, finally compressing it into a ball and sealing it within his body. At this moment, the aura emanating from her body became holy and pure once again, containing a rich life force. It was no longer cold and gloomy, but instead gave people a warm and comfortable feeling. After recovering, Lin Xiaoxiao put on a black outfit and disappeared from the room. Paradise City. The news that the Pengyun auction would begin in a month spread throughout the city instantly. "Is the Pengyun auction about to begin? I've never tried going in from the outside before." A look of anticipation flashed across Xian Hong's face. He's been so busy making money lately that he's neglected the Pengyun auction. However, since he possesses the Pengyun Token, he naturally won't compete with others at the auction. The items at the Pengyun auction are mostly prepared for people who do not have Pengyun tokens. Moreover, he didn't think that the little money he earned was enough to compete with other cultivators, so he decided to just quietly watch the show. Inside the Wanbao Pavilion, due to Xian Hong's influence. The main reason why Elder Hua has been stationed here recently is that the items that Xian Hong has brought out have become increasingly valuable. Many times, Wanbage directly buys them, since even if the western regions were offered to others now, probably no one could afford to buy them. After Wanbage acquired it, it was sent back to headquarters for sale. Hua Lao looked at Su Wenzhe, who was standing to the side, and asked, "Has there been any news about the Pengyun token recently?" "No." Su Wenzhe shook his head and continued, "The cultivators who possess the Pengyun token have all been hiding recently. Ever since the news of the Pengyun token spread last time, and that Buddhist cultivator was hunted down by everyone realized that many big shots had been paying attention to the Pengyun token. Of course, you have to hide yourself well." Upon hearing Su Wenzhe's words, Elder Hua sighed. "I really want a Pengyun token." Since Xian Hong's appearance, Xian Hong's understanding of the Pengyun token has deepened, and he has become more and more aware of the mystery of the Pengyun merchant ship, making him even more eager to obtain the Pengyun token. The last time was the closest he ever came to obtaining the Pengyun token, but unfortunately, the Buddha of Rebirth beat him to it, and even attracted the tribulation-transcending cultivators from Chihuang Mountain. After obtaining the Pengyun token, Chihuang Mountain should have already left the western regions, since there's no point in staying any longer, Elder Hua thought to himself. After all, as long as you have the Pengyun token, you can directly participate in the auction through the Pengyun token, so there is no need to make a special trip to the western regions. A month passed in the blink of an eye, and soon the day for the Pengyun auction began arrived. Because of Shen Hong's reselling of goods, paradise is now incredibly lively. A crowd had already gathered around the Pengyun merchant ship, and people were orderly boarding it. On the top floor of the auction house, looking at the number of cultivators that had increased several times compared to last time, he nodded in satisfaction. Suddenly, his gaze fell downwards. An elderly man wearing a long red robe embroidered with golden phoenix patterns had just entered. His hair was as if it were burning with fire. If it weren't for the Pengyun space, these flames would probably have pierced through the void. Seeing the other person's appearance, Zhou Yun roughly guessed his identity. He must be the ancestor of Qihong Mountain. Sensing the Pengyun token on the other party, he secretly sighed that Qihong Mountain was really lucky. Of course, what caught Zhou Yun's attention was not the Pengyun token, but the ethereal and vast aura emanating from the other party. He was familiar with this aura. Sometimes when he enhanced immortal level items, they would have a similar aura. In other words, this old man was a genuine immortal level expert. Even immortal level cultivators have been attracted. It seems that the reputation of my Pengyun merchant ship is growing stronger. Zhou Yun's lips curled into a smug smile. As the people attending the auction gradually arrived, Zhou Yun looked around at the area below. The number of participants increased, but the number of high-level cultivators did not increase. Excluding the immortal level cultivator from Qihong Mountain, there are only 4 Mahayana cultivators. These 4 are Master Hua of Wanbage, the Buddha of Joy from the western regions, the Buddha of Rebirth, and Shen Hong. Zhou Yun knew a little about these people. Apart from Wanbage being able to contribute spirit stones to the auction, the other 3 were just decorations in Zhou Yun's eyes. They had already been drained dry by Pengyun merchant ship, so where would they find the spirit stones to participate in the auction? Moreover, Zhou Yun noticed that there were very few Buddhist cultivators present today, and he observed them carefully for a moment. Surprisingly, not a single person in the combined Buddhist practice belongs to the Joyful sect. This is too strange. Where have all the integrated Buddhist practitioners of the Joyful sect gone? Chapter 193 8th Order Great Freedom Heavenly Demon Seed. Unable to figure it out, Zhou Yun stopped thinking about it, since it had nothing to do with him anyway. Since the Pengyun merchant ship was already docked in the blissful heaven, the Joyful Buddha naturally wanted to come to the auction to take a look. At this moment, after using the Buddha's relics, the Buddha of Bliss has elevated his spiritual attainment to the level of Mahayana perfection. Because the method used to absorb the Buddha's relics was too rough, too much of the Buddha's original power was wasted, the Joyful Buddha felt a pang of heartache when he thought of this. His main purpose in coming to the auction was to focus on the Buddha of Rebirth. Although he knew that the Buddha of Rebirth could not possibly have any more spirit stones to bid on, he did not want any accidents to happen at this crucial moment in their struggle. After all, even he had raised a lot of resources for the auction. He didn't think the Buddha of Rebirth would be unprepared. If the other party is really so arrogant, thinking that they can take him down with the Freedom Seed Demon Pill, without considering the Pengyun auction, then the Buddha of Rebirth can truly be reborn in the Pure Land. A cold glint flashed in the eyes of the Buddha of Joy. Finally, someone entered the 6th floor of the auction building today. The red-haired old man, Feng Yen, curiously surveyed the entire auction. He whispered, "Is this the Pengyun merchant ship that Huang Shu mentioned? It is indeed amazing." This Pengyun merchant ship forced him to treat it with utmost care, as it had completely suppressed the power within him. He was a celestial level being, a figure standing at the very top of the Xian Tian cultivation world. Facing the Pengyun merchant ship, he felt a slight fear in his heart. Not being able to unleash his full strength made him feel very insecure. This feeling of being suppressed was something he hadn't felt fear from for a long time since he reached the immortal level. Yu Tong's figure appeared on the auction stage below, smiling at everyone. He said softly, "Welcome, fellow Taoists, to the Pengyun auction. I hope the items up for auction will not disappoint you. The Pengyun auction is about to begin." With a gentle touch of her arm, Yu Tong revealed an item covered by a red cloth on the auction stage. A hint of curiosity flashed in everyone's eyes. Was there anything special about this item being auctioned? This Pengyun auction is being treated with such great care. Get ready. A sly smile flashed in Yu Tong's eyes as she reached out and lifted the red cloth. A cacophony of voices erupted below. Some were puzzled, some excited, some astonished. Isn't this a foundation establishment pill? Why would Pengyun auction house be auctioning something like this? Foundation building pill? No, it's clearly a beautiful woman with a graceful figure. Wow, she smiled at me. It's a top-grade flying sword. He's clearly a naked man, but he's exactly my type. As the discussion progressed, everyone gradually realized that the items brought out by Pengyun auction were no ordinary items. They had even affected their minds. If everyone closes their eyes, they won't be able to see it, someone reminded them. No, even though it's fake, the beautiful woman's smile at me is real. This fairy doesn't want it either. I want to look at it more. Not only the cultivators below, but even the Mahayana cultivators were affected. Fortunately, by eliminating distracting thoughts, one can escape the illusion. Only 2 people present were unaffected, Xian Hong and the immortal from Chihuang Mountain. Xian Hong is powerful because, as the Shenming illusion whale, he specializes in illusion techniques and possesses strong spiritual power. The latter relies entirely on its own formidable strength. A moment later, Yu Tong reached out and waved her hand in front of her, dispelling the strange phenomenon. Everyone finally saw clearly what the items on the auction stage were. It was just a wisp of black gas, without a fixed shape, slowly wriggling. After seeing it clearly, everyone became even more confused. What is this thing? Does anyone know? I don't know, it's so dark it seems to devour everything. It gives a very bad feeling. Looking at it for too long makes your back tingle. Anyway, it doesn't feel like a good thing. No one could tell what it was, but they all agreed that it was not a good thing. Xian Hong was probably the only one in the room who knew the details of this item. It's this? Pengyun auction house actually put it up for auction. Xian Hong muttered to himself. Xian Hong has been reselling items recently. He had also intended to exchange for this black cloud of energy, but was told that it was not possible. Now it seems that Pengyun auction house intends to use it as an auction item. Moreover, after discovering this anomaly, he also examined all the 8th and 9th tier items. Many of them have been restricted and cannot be redeemed. Fortunately, the Shenming illusion whale pearl, which he desired most, was not restricted. It now appears that the restricted items were all items that Pengyun merchant ship used for auction. It might be placed in the exchange tower simply for display, to make the cultivators who enter the exchange tower envious. This rule was indeed added by Zhou Yun on the spot. It was Xian Hong's large-scale resale of items from Pengyun space that caught his attention. Although he doesn't mind reselling, there are some things he does intend to auction. If they are all sold through Pengyun tokens, then what's the point of holding his Pengyun auction? For example, the 7th Order Freedom Demon Seed Pill and the 7th Order Causal Reversal Flower that Xian Hong produced can be auctioned off. Therefore, Zhou Yun added restrictions to some items, mostly requiring them to be of the 7th rank or higher, with very few being of the 6th rank. There's no need for the other levels. Pengyun auction house won't use them, so they can sell them however they want. On the auction stage, Yu Tong noticed everyone's confusion and slowly began to explain. 8th tier superior grade Great Freedom Heavenly Demon Seed. Does it sound familiar? Before the cultivators below could think it over, Yu Tong continued. That's right. It's from the same source as the free demon seed pill that caused a sensation in the western regions before. So I'm sure you fellow cultivators can guess the effects of this thing. Upon hearing Yu Tong's words, the cultivators present erupted in excitement. It's here, it's here. Our initial guess was right. A Buddhist practitioner shouted. They had initially speculated that, in addition to 6th and 7th tiers, there might also be 4th, 5th, and even 8th and 9th tiers of demonic cores. Since these demonic pills are used by demonic cultivators to counter the Buddhist cultivators' ability to convert them, they must be part of a series. Now, Pengyun Auction House has actually brought out an 8th Order Great Freedom Heavenly Demon Seed. The faces of the Buddha of Rebirth and the Buddha of Joy also showed surprise. They hadn't expected it to be this thing. This is what caused the current deterioration in their relationship. If a 7th Order Free Spirit Demon Pill can control a Mahayana cultivator, what abilities does an 8th Order Great Free Spirit Demon Seed possess? Thinking of this, the two felt a chill run down their spines and shivered involuntarily. This thing is coming for them. What exactly is Pengyun Auction doing? It feels like they're always being targeted. He recalled that in the past, the three major powers in the western regions jointly controlled the area, but since the arrival of the Pengyun merchant ship, troubles have started to increase. Tianquan Buddha is gone, and the Buddha's disciple has escaped. The western regions are in chaos. It seems that everything is related to Pengyun merchant ship, yet it has nothing to do with it. Chapter 194 The Powerful Free Heavenly Demon Seed. Seeing the shocked expressions on everyone's faces, Yutong smiled and slowly spoke. It seems that everyone already understands the function of this demon pill, but I still want to give you all a proper introduction. After all, the 8th Order Great Freedom Heaven Demon Seed is not comparable to the 7th Order Freedom Seed Demon Pill. Everyone nodded silently. Indeed, the difference between the 7th and 8th ranks was like heaven and earth. Seeing that everyone's attention had been drawn, Yutong smiled and said, "It has only one function, reverse parasitism." Aren't you curious why an 8th tier magic pill only has one function? Upon hearing Yutong's words, a hint of doubt appeared on their faces. However, they also knew that as an 8th order demonic pill, its effects must be extraordinary. Even due to its singular effect, if it reaches its peak in a certain aspect, it can be much stronger than ordinary level 8 items. Yutong didn't keep everyone in suspense any longer. First, after consuming the heavenly demon seed, it will automatically attach itself to the Buddha seed, and directly erode the other party along this causal line. Secondly, during this process, demonic energy will be released to confuse the opponent, making them feel that they have control over you. Third, at this time, the Buddha seed will become your greatest opportunity. You will be able to continuously steal the other party's energy, and by the time the other party realizes it, it will be too late. The entire audience was silent, their minds replaying the specific effects of the 8th tier heavenly demon seed, their eyes filled with disbelief. Silently steal the opponent's power and turn it into nourishment for your own growth. Does this thing really exist? That's terrifying. At this moment, Yutong added fuel to the fire, saying softly, "There are absolutely no side effects. Your cultivation, lifespan, spiritual roots, and so on will all be improved. That's why we say the Buddha seed is your opportunity." Wow! The entire audience erupted in uproar. No one could remain calm any longer. No matter how much they speculated, they had ultimately underestimated the power of the heavenly demon seed. That's incredible. If I were to take it, I would not be able to steal the foundation of the Mahayana Buddha's teachings. Forget about it. This thing is destined to be fought over by the Buddhas. How could we possibly get it? Does everyone remember how the Buddhas frantically fought over the 7th tier Freedom Seed Demon Pill when it appeared? Upon hearing this, everyone's expressions were filled with regret. The 7th tier Freedom Demon Planting Pill alone was enough for Buddha to make a heavenly oath with a Buddhist heart at the Wanbage auction. Although the attempt ultimately failed due to Wanbage's obstruction, it demonstrates that Buddha would not allow such items, which could threaten his own existence, to remain outside the palace. Not to mention an 8th order Great Freedom Heavenly Demon Seed. Inside the auction house room, the Buddha of Rebirth paused in turning the beads, his expression grave as he looked at the Great Freedom Demon Seed. He had previously underestimated the effects of this 8th tier magic pill. However, it will be difficult for him to compete for this demonic pill. Now he only hopes that the Buddha of Joy also cannot produce spirit stones, and can only pray that the Buddha of Joy will not obtain this thing. On the other side, the Buddha of Joy burst into excited laughter after hearing the introduction. He. I must obtain this Great Freedom Demon Seed. This time you can't escape. Buddha of Rebirth. After hearing the introduction, a look of shock flashed across Fengyan's face. This Pengyun merchant ship is indeed extraordinary. It even has things like this? He had felt this thing was familiar before, and now he finally remembered it. The Great Freedom Heavenly Demon Seed is a secret demonic pill from the ancient demonic sect, the Heavenly Demon Gate. It is not, as the description says, merely using a Buddha seed as a medium to nourish the person who controls it. Rather, it is a demonic method that plunders the foundations of others, including their Tao body, divine body, spiritual root, bloodline, and everything else, turning them into the cornerstone of their own growth. Its most incredible feature is that this quick way of plundering and improving oneself has no side effects whatsoever. This was also the reason why the Heavenly Demon sect became a top power in ancient times. He figured that since Pengyun merchant ship had brought it out, they must know his relevant information. As for why only the Buddha seed aspect was mentioned, he couldn't quite understand. Did Pengyun merchant ship have a grudge against the Buddhist cultivators of the western regions? Or did they simply dislike each other? If Zhou Yun knew what Fengyan was thinking, he would surely sigh. No wonder he's such a long-lived old fellow, his knowledge is truly vast. On the auction stage, Yutong was announcing the auction price of the Great Freedom Heavenly Demon Seed. 8th tier Great Freedom Heavenly Demon Seed, starting price 100 million high-grade spirit stones. Each bid must be at least 10 million high-grade spirit stones. Auction begins. Bang! As soon as the auction began, fierce bidding erupted from below. 200 million. 300 million. 400 million. Although most of the Buddhist practitioners who bid knew they could never obtain it, who could resist the temptation? This not only solves the problem of Buddha seed, but also allows us to use Mahayana Buddhas as nourishment for our own growth. Their foundation is already incomplete. If they could rebuild their foundation with the nourishment of Mahayana Buddha, they might be able to advance their cultivation to a higher level. 1 billion. 2 billion. 3 billion. Just as prices were soaring, a voice suddenly rang out. Wait, I want to exchange for spirit stones. The voice naturally came from the Buddha of Joy. He was determined to obtain this 8th order Great Freedom Heavenly Demon Seed and had no need to hold back. Regardless of whether Pengyun merchant ships deliberately created this thing, as long as it is under their control, it is not a bad thing. The Buddha of Bliss did not conceal his identity, so everyone knew about it. The one who reacted the most was naturally the Buddha of Rebirth. The prayer beads he was holding suddenly fell to the ground. His eyes filled with disbelief. He stood there stunned and whispered, "Impossible, how could he still have resources?" Both of them were Mahayana Buddhas and jointly plundered the heavenly Zen sect, but the resources should have already been squeezed dry by the Pengyun merchant ship. Where did he get the resources? Not only the Buddha of Rebirth, but even Zhou Yun, who was drinking tea on the top floor, had a look of surprise in his eyes. He placed his teacup on the table, looked at the other person, and said in a low voice, "Interesting." He was also quite curious about what treasures this Buddha of Joy could possibly produce. He transmitted a few words to Yu Tong below, and then placed the exchanged jade disc on the auction stage. On the auction stage, Yu Tong's eyes flashed, and she looked up at the front. "Fellow Taoists who wish to exchange spirit stones, please step forward." Without hesitation, the Buddha of Joy walked directly to the auction stage. Having already had experience with this once, the joyful Buddha was already very familiar with the process of exchanging spirit stones and quickly completed the operation. When the Buddha of Joy actually appeared on the auction stage, the Buddha of Rebirth was extremely anxious. What exactly happened? Where did he get these resources? What exactly is he exchanging for? The Buddha of Rebirth was very curious, but unfortunately, Pengyun merchant ship was known for protecting the privacy of its customers. Do not ask where it came from, do not ask about the cause or effect. Chapter 195 The Familiar Second Auction Item. Even though Zhou Yun didn't have a good impression of the Buddhist cultivators from the western regions, he would still protect Zhou Yun's privacy unless the Buddha of Joy intentionally revealed it. Because at this moment, the Buddha of Joy is, to Pengyun merchant ship, a guest, and only has this one identity. Therefore, only Zhou Yun was able to see from backstage what exactly the joyful Buddha was using as collateral. Oh, Uncle Zhou can see it too. At this moment, Uncle Zhou was looking at Zhou Yun in surprise. He asked in a shocked tone, "Young master, what is this?" Zhou Yun said indifferently, "Didn't you see it?" However, this old servant still finds it hard to believe, Uncle Zhou said, his tone tinged with incomprehension. Zhou Yun looked down and calmly said, "If you look at it from the perspective of the Buddha of bliss, it will be much easier to understand." After Zhou Yun finished speaking, he picked up the teacup and slowly drank it. He had previously thought he had already drained these two Mahayana Buddhist practitioners dry, but now it seems he had overlooked the most important resource. For the Western regions, the most important resource is Buddhist practitioners, who are the assets that Buddhas exchange for cultivation resources. The items that the joyful Buddha brought as collateral this time were the corpses of 5 combined Buddhist practitioners, one of which should belong to Tianshan Temple. 5 portions of the combined Buddhist and Taoist essence, plus 4 portions of high-level 7 emotions pills and 1 portion of high-level heavenly soul liquid. They really squeezed out all the value of these 5 combined Buddhist practitioners. No wonder he didn't notice the arrival of the joyful cult's combined Buddhist practitioners when the auction started. It turns out that the Buddha of Joy killed all the piglets that had survived to this day in order to raise funds for the auction. Zhou Yun was not surprised by this. The Western regions were originally a breeding ground built by Buddha. Now that the pigs have grown up, it is natural to eat their meat when needed. Zhou Yun's gaze fell on the Buddha of Rebirth, taking in the despair in his eyes. He was somewhat surprised that the Buddha of Rebirth did not do so. At that moment, the Buddha of Rebirth came to his senses from his daze, picked up the fallen prayer beads from the ground, and turned to leave without the slightest hesitation. There's no point in staying here anymore. His purpose in attending the Pengyun auction was to see if the joyful Buddha would participate in the auction, in order to prevent any unexpected situations. Now the unexpected has actually happened. Regardless of what the Buddha of Bliss was actually pledging, and regardless of whether he could ultimately obtain it, it no longer matters. He needed to speed up his plans. He knew the final battle with the Buddha of Joy was not far off. 10 billion, 200 billion, 300 billion. Among those present, only Elder Hua of Wanbage and Feng Yen of Chihuang Mountain were capable of competing with the joyful Buddha. However, Feng Yen did not seem to intend to bid. Although Elder Hua did not recognize the item, given its high-grade level of 8th rank, he believed that acquiring it within his budget would be profitable. Merchants never consider whether an item is useful to them, but rather whether it can bring them profit. The price quickly rose as the two men competed with each other. However, the two men's different attitudes toward the item determined its ownership. Below, Yutong announced, "Congratulations, fellow Daoist, on successfully obtaining an 8th-tier superior Great Freedom Heavenly Demon Seed with 500 billion superior Spirit Stones." Bang! As Yutong finished speaking, the joyful Buddha obtained the 8th Order Heavenly Demon Seed as he wished. The tense atmosphere seemed to have been breached, and a cacophony of voices arose among the onlookers. "Don't you think this price is too high? What's the point of buying the joyful Buddha? If that's the case with the joyful Buddha, then if I could obtain it, even 1,000,000,000,000 high-grade spirit stones would be worth it." "You're dreaming. I have to buy the joyful Buddha. If the combined Buddha were to cultivate and secretly drain him dry, that would be the end of me." Only Feng Yen knew that the guy who got the heavenly demon seed had actually made a profit. However, since the other party doesn't know the true function of the heavenly demon seed, they probably wouldn't dare to use it recklessly. In Zhou Yun's room, Uncle Zhou asked the question that Feng Yen had been struggling to understand. "Young master, why did you have Yutong change the description of the effects of the Great Freedom Heavenly Demon Seed?" Uncle Zhou asked in confusion. The effects of the Great Freedom Heavenly Demon Seed are clearly incredibly powerful, yet the young master deliberately omitted many details in his description. Parasitizing the Buddha seed is just a side effect. If the description were accurate, the final price would likely be much higher. Zhou Yun was taken aback. He hadn't expected his uncle to ask that question. He casually said, "I want it to be obtained by the two great Buddhas of the Western regions. It's that simple." Uncle Zhou didn't ask any more questions and turned his gaze to the auction below. At this moment, a fruit with alternating 7-colored Dao patterns appeared on the auction stage, and layers of colorful ripples spread out from it. The expressions of the cultivators below changed instantly upon contact. Some cried, some laughed, some were angry. At this moment, the deepest desires in their hearts were aroused, and many cultivators with decent cultivation levels struggled to break free from them, looking at the items above the auction stage with horrified expressions. What is this thing again? None of the items brought out at this auction seemed to have any positive message. Tell me, do you want the Great Freedom Demon seed from before? Want to? Then who cares about whether it's positive or negative energy? How can we cultivators be bound by our inner morality? Opinions on the auction items varied. Some felt that Pengyun merchant ship should not put such demonic items up for auction, but many more scoffed at those who held such views. Only the Buddha of Joy had a hint of suspicion in his eyes. He felt that this thing looked strangely familiar, but he had never seen it before. However, its aura was somewhat similar to the 7 emotions pill of his joyful sect. However, the 7 emotions pill is a product of condensed desires, so its aura is not as pure. Moreover, the 7-colored lore inscriptions are extremely dense, comparable to an 8th order 7 emotions pill. I can't see through it. The joyful Buddha shook his head. It's understandable that you can't see through it. This thing is enhanced from the 7 emotions pill. After being enhanced by Zhou Yun, it is no longer a simple pill for harmonizing spiritual energy. Rather, it is an item that allows cultivators to enter the Tao through emotion. It is a treasure for proving the Tao. The moment the item was brought out, Elder Hua of Wanbei's eyes lit up. This thing seems interesting. It might fetch a good price in the central region. I imagine it will be snapped up by the 7 emotions sect. Elder Hua said softly. Chihuang Mountain Feng Yen looked at the items on the auction stage and nodded. He naturally saw more than others. It's a nice little gadget. I can take it home and give it to the little one at home. That's how simple and unpretentious the big shots are. This treasure, which is at least a top-tier 7th or 8th grade item, is just a trinket in the other party's eyes. If other cultivators heard this, they would surely vie to become his grandsons. It's not shameful to be a grandson of an immortal. You can even frequently obtain trinkets of the 7th or 8th tier. This is a very worthwhile deal no matter how you look at it. Chapter 196: The 7 Emotions and Their Fruition, the Emotional Dharma Body. On the auction stage, Yutong lightly touched the 7-colored fruit with her fingertips, and the ripples quickly returned to their original state. Many cultivators awoke with a start, a trace of something strange still lingering on their faces. What just happened? I remembered my deceased parents. I have just become an immortal. I just got my revenge. I was just now with about a dozen of my senior female classmates. Fellow Daoist, please elaborate. The group shared their experiences, some expressing regret and others feeling disappointed. Everyone realized that it was all an illusion, and that once the dream ended, they had to return to reality. This thing is similar to the previous Great Freedom Demon seed. Both can arouse people's desires. Of course, they weren't without any benefits either. As long as they immersed themselves in the illusion, their spiritual power could be tempered and enhanced to a certain extent. Many cultivators gained a lot after experiencing the illusionary realm twice. Yutong looked at everyone and said with a smile, "It seems that all of you fellow Taoists have had a good haul. This is the 2nd item up for auction, a 7th grade top quality 7 emotions Tao fruit." Seeing everyone's doubts, Yutong continued, "It has only one core function, which is to help cultivators condense a 7 emotions Dharma body. It can perfectly control one's own 7 emotions and 6 desires, and is immune to inner demons and undisturbed by any thoughts." After hearing Yutong's explanation, many cultivators were still full of doubts. What exactly is the purpose of this? Is it just for controlling one's own emotions? I don't know, maybe it can also control other people's emotions? Can any expert explain what the Dharmakaya is? You'll understand when you reach that level. If you don't understand, it means this wasn't made for you. Indeed, that was the case. Those who understood looked intently at the 7 emotions Dao fruit, the second item up for auction, which was a Dao fruit capable of condensing a Dharma body. Emotional avatars are notoriously difficult to condense, but their assistance to cultivators is several times greater than that of attribute-based avatars, and they are also very difficult to deal with. Those cultivators who are familiar with the central region are well aware of this. Anyone who has ever fought against the cultivators of the 7 emotions sect in the central region knows just how disgusting they are. Therefore, both Wanbage and Qiwangshan became interested in this second item. 7th tier top grade 7 emotions Dao fruit, starting price 100 million high grade spirit stones. Each bid must be at least 10 million high grade spirit stones. Auction begins. Bang! 110 million. 120 million. 130 million. While the onlookers who didn't understand were still bewildered, the experts who knew the power of the Dharma body had already started a fierce bidding war. However, these are all small-scale operations at the moment, and the real big players have not yet made their move. Hua Lao stroked his beard, smiled and nodded, saying, "That's right. For the 7 emotions sect, which cultivates the Dao through emotion, the 7 emotions Dao fruit is the most top-tier foundation establishment item." Thinking of the 7 emotions sect, Elder Hua couldn't help but sigh that these capricious madmen had truly studied human emotions to the extreme. Their greatest skill is stirring up the 7 emotions and 6 desires within cultivators, but it is precisely because of this. If you cannot control your emotions, you will often suffer the consequences. Therefore, the 7 emotions sect has the most madmen. However, the laws of emotions are stronger than the laws of elemental attributes, which is also a consensus in the cultivation world. Therefore, thanks to this advantage, the 7 emotions sect has always maintained its ranking of around 5th or 6th among the top 10 forces in the central region. Of course, the most powerful are the laws of time and space. Unfortunately, these 2 laws are incomplete in the Xian Tian cultivation world, and cultivators cannot rely on them to break through to the immortal realm. Feng Yen of Chihuang Mountain didn't care about the 7 emotions Dharma body. He valued more that this Dao fruit could help cultivators control their own emotions. Only when he reached his level did he realize how difficult it is to perfectly control one's own emotions and desires. Throughout a cultivator's life, whether it's meditating and cultivating or breaking through realms, they are inevitably affected by their inner desires, especially the inner demon tribulation that every cultivator fears and finds most difficult. This 7 emotions Dao fruit is a top-grade 7th level fruit, a perfect seed of emotion. His effects may only work on cultivators at the refinement and integration stages, but he can plant a seed of emotion within a cultivator's body. Even if the cultivator does not focus on cultivating the laws of emotion, the seed will slowly take root and sprout as the cultivator's strength increases, making the cultivator's future cultivation path smoother. This is why he values the 7 emotions and the Dao fruit. 1 billion. 1.1 billion. 1.2 billion. The auction below continued, with many cultivators bidding wildly, their faces flushed red. Unfortunately, their competition is about to end. A bid rang out, instantly silencing the fierce bidding. 10 billion. The one who made the bid was naturally Mr. Hua from Wanbage. Elder Hua was already imagining how sensational it would be if he sent the 7 emotions Dao fruit back to the central region headquarters for sale. However, the 7 emotions sect is not a monolithic entity, and there will inevitably be fierce competition among them. Since ancient times, the 7 emotions sect has been divided into 2 factions: the path of compassion and the path of indifference. Moreover, with the continuation of the 7 emotions sect, these 2 factions have generated numerous disputes. What is meant by entering the path of love and then severing it, or having a heart that is devoid of emotion yet still possessing feelings? This also gave rise to many absurd and fallacious theories, such as, if heaven had feelings, it too would grow old. If man had no feelings, he would live forever. Hua Lao naturally scoffed at these 7 emotions sect lunatics, but that didn't stop him from making money off them. These are completely different things. Suddenly, another bid rang out. 10 billion top-grade spirit stones. Old Hua looked up in horror, completely unable to believe what he was hearing. Not only Mr. Hua, but the entire audience was shocked by the price that was called out. It's a top-grade spirit stone, right? You just called it a top-grade spirit stone, didn't you? It seems so, a top-grade spirit stone. I've never heard of it in the entire southern region. That's something we have in the western regions. Could this big shot be from the central region? For most of the cultivators present, top-grade spirit stones were something that only appeared in novels. They had never actually seen a top-grade spirit stone, nor did they know why top-grade spirit stones were so rare. But that's precisely why it's so shocking. After all, in vernacular novels, the descriptions of top-grade spirit stones are sometimes true and sometimes false, but their effects are all extremely powerful. For example, top-grade spirit stones are classified by attributes, can improve a cultivator's cultivation level without any side effects, and can even be used as elixirs to break through bottlenecks. In fact, none of these descriptions are wrong. The most important thing is that top-grade spirit stones contain a trace of attribute laws. Moreover, they can only be nurtured in spirit veins or spirit stone mines of the 8th rank or above, and their quantity is extremely rare. Such things are usually firmly held by powerful forces and are considered the most important strategic resources, and they are not easily leaked out. This is the foundation of powerful forces, and also the reason why independent cultivators envy the disciples of powerful forces. If one can join a top-tier power, then the path of cultivation will not be so arduous. The treatment afforded to powerful forces is beyond the comprehension of independent cultivators. Chapter 197: The Shock Caused by the Top-Grade Spirit Stone. A top-grade spirit stone. Zhou Yun glanced at Pengyun with a surprised expression. This was the first time that a top-grade spirit stone had appeared on the Pengyun merchant ship. Zhou Yun didn't really know much about top-grade spirit stones, but that didn't stop him from knowing how precious they were. In the cultivation world, it is very difficult to exchange low-level spirit stones for high-level spirit stones. Generally, no one would do that. Higher-grade spirit stones can only be nurtured in higher-grade spirit veins or spirit stone mines. They contain fewer impurities, which can make a cultivator's spiritual power purer and help them break through their cultivation level. So, although the exchange ratio is 100 to 1, no cultivator would actually exchange for it. Even if you exchange it, the premium will be much higher. Of course, this wouldn't happen on Pengyun merchant ships. Zhou Yun wouldn't offer them a premium. Everyone knew that a real big shot had arrived. Cultivators from ordinary forces wouldn't be willing to use top-grade spirit stones to bid, and even Elder Hua of the Wanbao Pavilion was no exception. He naturally possessed top-grade spirit stones, but these were all treasured by him. He would only use them when breaking through bottlenecks or encountering crises. Old Hua secretly guessed the other party's identity. Tribulation? Immortal. Hua Lao's gaze fell upon the 7 emotions pill on the auction stage. This thing clearly still had potential for profit, and he really didn't want to give it up, but he also didn't want to offend the mysterious big shot who could produce top-grade spirit stones. Adding another amount shouldn't bother the big boss, Elder Hua said softly. His face showed hesitation. He really didn't want to give up this huge profit. Don't assume he has no shortage of cultivation resources just because he's the manager of Wanbage in the western regions. He's desperately lacking in them. Moreover, he did not have a powerful background, otherwise he would not have been exiled to guard the western regions. Do it as soon as you think of it, without hesitation. 200 billion high-grade spirit stones. 3 billion top-grade spirit stones. Upon hearing the overwhelmingly low price offered by the other party, Mr. Hua gave up. His gaze lingered reluctantly on the 7 emotions Dao fruit. He said regretfully, "No chance, no chance." He is no ordinary cultivator. He has a clearer understanding of top-grade spirit stones and is someone who can directly bid on them. This is someone he can't afford to mess with. Yutong was very excited when top-grade spirit stones appeared for the first time at the Pengyun auction. A moment later, he excitedly announced, "Congratulations, fellow Daoist, on acquiring the 7th grade top-quality 7 emotions Dao fruit for the price of 3 billion top-grade spirit stones." With the ownership of the 7 emotions Dao fruit confirmed, everyone slowly came back to their senses. Their gazes fell upon the auction stage, eager to see what the legendary top-grade spirit stone actually looked like. Unfortunately, they were destined to be disappointed. What sets Pengyun auction apart from other auctions is that transactions take place on the spot, and no one else can see the transaction process. Sigh, I really want to see a top-grade spirit stone. Yes, I've heard that top-grade spirit stones have some good effects, but I don't know if it's true. The main purpose is to broaden my horizons, so that I won't throw away any top-grade spirit stones I find in the future. Don't worry, when you find it, you'll know it's very precious and you won't throw it away. The group began discussing top-grade spirit stones, since spirit stones were the most frequently encountered item among the cultivators present, and also the basic currency of the cultivation world. They didn't even recognize the largest denomination of currency. That's why they're so curious. Actually, it's not accurate to say that it's the highest denomination currency. There may be things in the cultivation world that are even more precious than top-grade spirit stones. On the top floor of the auction house, Zhou Yun's gaze fell upon a dark red crystal in his palm. The crystal was about the size of an egg, with a faint golden light constantly shimmering inside. Holding it in your hand, you can feel the warmth emanating from it, making you feel cozy and warm, as if your very soul is enveloped in a warm jade. That little bit inside should be the fire attribute law, right? Zhou Yun said softly, playing with the top-grade spirit stone. The moment he obtained it, he discovered the most fundamental difference between top-grade spirit stones and ordinary spirit stones. The top-grade spirit stone contained a trace of the power of laws. The power of laws, that's a power that only those at the nascent soul stage can access. No wonder Pengyun merchant ship has never received any top-grade spirit stones in so long. The southern region may not exist, but these great Buddhas in the western region must possess a small amount of top-grade spirit stones, yet they have never taken them out. Zhou Yun casually tossed the top-grade spirit stone in his hand to Uncle Zhou. "Young master, is this a top-grade spirit stone?" After taking it, Uncle Zhou slowly wiped the surface of the spirit stone with his palm. His eyes filled with curiosity. "Yes, it's a pretty good item. You can wear it on your body. It's quite warm," Zhou Yun said softly. "Thank you very much, young master," Uncle Zhou said happily. He had never seen a top-grade spirit stone in his life. If he hadn't been by the young master's side, he probably wouldn't have even seen a high-grade spirit stone. Of course, the main reason he was so happy was because it was given to him by the young master. The current exchange tower even has quite a few celestial-level items, so a top-grade spirit stone is naturally not surprising to Uncle Zhou. It's mostly out of curiosity. After placing the spirit stone in his bosom, Uncle Zhou began to pour tea for Zhou Yun. "Young master, will the arrival of that immortal-level expert affect the Pengyun merchant ship?" Uncle Zhou asked with a hint of worry in his voice. After all, in his mind, immortals were people who were truly immortal and possessed all-powerful abilities. There are quite a few immortal-grade items on the Pengyun merchant ship, which will inevitably arouse the covetousness and greed of others. Even though they know that the young master has the ability and the Pengyun merchant ship is a special space, they are still unsure whether they can suppress the immortals. Immortals, that is the goal that every cultivator strives for throughout their life. "It's all right." Zhou Yun waved his hand and said. Hearing the confidence in the young master's tone, Uncle Zhou's worry dissipated. Zhou Yun's gaze fell on Feng Yan. He felt that this was a sensible immortal who would not rashly provoke the Pengyun merchant ship. On the contrary, he could bring him a lot of benefits. For example, the top-grade spirit stone that appeared this time. Zhou Yun had a fairly good understanding of Qihuang Mountain, this reclusive force. They are a group that are relatively peace-loving. As long as you don't provoke them, they won't target your forces. To put it bluntly, They are a group of people who are high and mighty, with strong foundations and talents, occupying the best cultivation resources in the central region, and looking down on ordinary cultivators. Most reclusive forces are like this: arrogant, looking down on all living beings, and looking down on everyone equally. Of course, this only applies to the cultivation world. Even in front of Pengyun merchant ship, they still have to grovel. Zhou Yun was somewhat looking forward to seeing if a reckless, naive immortal would appear in the future and act arrogantly in front of Pengyun merchant ship. That way he could kill the other person with a single blow. You can also collect a piece of immortal level essence. However, such a thing is highly unlikely to happen. How could someone who has cultivated to the level of an immortal be so reckless? People who are so easily influenced by their own emotions would have died long ago on the path of cultivation. Chapter 198 Tai Soul Liquid. Regardless, Zhou Yun's overall impression of Qihuang Mountain, which he had a lot of contact with, was still quite good. On the auction stage below, Yu Tong is introducing the third item in this auction. 7th grade top quality Tai Soul Liquid. It can make a cultivator's soul immortal. Yu Tong looked at the cultivators and said in a slightly seductive voice. Many cultivators were shocked upon hearing that the soul was immortal. This time they understood, since the Tai Soul Liquid was not like the 7 emotions Dao fruit, which allowed one to control their own emotions and condense the 7 emotions Dharma body. Although only nascent soul cultivators can develop a divine soul, even Qi refining cultivators will come into contact with something called divine sense. This is also the most relied upon foundation in cultivator battles. Those with strong divine sense can gain an innate advantage and anticipate the enemy's moves. The soul is immortal. Isn't that equivalent to a different kind of immortality? Compared to the lower level cultivators, the higher level cultivators showed confusion on their faces. They have more to think about. Their gazes fell upon the Tai Soul Liquid on the auction stage. It was a drop of transparent, colorless substance that would likely have been overlooked by everyone if it weren't for the special spiritual light shimmering around it. They knew that Pengyun merchant ship wouldn't exaggerate. This Tai Soul Liquid would definitely make a cultivator's soul immortal. But this Tai Soul Liquid is only a 7th grade top quality item, which at most can only be effective for cultivators in the refinement of void and integration stages. Can it really make the souls of those in the Mahayana and tribulation stages immortal? Even legendary immortals? A hint of doubt crept into the eyes of the high-level cultivators. It's not that they don't trust Pengyun merchant ship, but rather that the effects are indeed somewhat exaggerated. Surprisingly, the strongest reaction came from Xian Hong, who held unwavering faith in Pengyun merchant ship. He had a deep understanding of the concept of an immortal soul. After all, there was an immortal ancestor in his family who was in a deep sleep because his soul was about to be destroyed. If it weren't for emptying his coffers to exchange for the semi-immortal level pure world heavenly lotus, the ancestor probably wouldn't have had any chance of recovery. Now, at the Pengyun auction, a top-grade 7th tier Tai Soul Liquid is presented to him, and he is told that it can make one's soul immortal. How can he accept this? No, that's not how it works. I must trust Pengyun merchant ship. This item must have special requirements. That must be it. Xian Hong was rendered incoherent, torn between his unwavering belief in the Pengyun merchant ship and his reluctance to accept the effects of the Tai Soul Liquid. It made him feel very uncomfortable and blocked out. Yu Tong could not see the doubts of the high-level cultivators, but he could guess some of them. After all, she had many doubts when her master introduced it to her. She smiled slightly at everyone and said, I imagine you are all wondering how a 7th tier item can guarantee the preservation of the soul. That is the special feature of Tai Soul Liquid. Seeing the gazes directed at her, Yu Tong slowly spoke. After using the Tai Soul Liquid, a wisp of a cultivator's soul will merge with the Tai Soul Liquid and transform into the Tai Divine Soul. Of course, due to the limitations of the Tai Soul Liquid's level, cultivators using Tai Soul Liquid should not exceed the Mahayana realm. This wisp of Tai Divine Soul is truly immortal. It will always wander in the void. Even if you become an immortal in the future and your body and soul are destroyed by the Great Tao, this wisp of Tai divine soul can still exist and seek the opportunity to be reborn. After hearing Yu Tong's explanation, everyone suddenly understood. Shen Hong in particular said in a low voice, "I see, so it can be considered a different kind of immortal soul. This Tai soul liquid is undoubtedly a treasure, giving cultivators a chance to start over, but its final value may not be high." Shen Hong felt that this thing was too useless. It was only useful when the person was dead. Moreover, it's uncertain how long it will take or whether the last wisp of Tai's soul can be resurrected. In contrast, what people want more is something that can revive and restore one's peak condition even if only a wisp of one's soul remains. For example, the burning heart wutong fruit that was auctioned before. 7th grade top quality Tai soul liquid, starting price 100 million high-grade spirit stones. Each bid must be at least 10 million high-grade spirit stones. Auction begins. Bang! 110 million. 120 million. 130 million. As Shen Hong had predicted, the public's enthusiasm for this item was not high. The reason everyone is bidding now is simply because this price is too low for a 7th-tier top-grade treasure. Even if the Tai soul liquid is useless, acquiring it at the current price is still a profitable deal. On the top floor of the auction building, Zhou Yun picked up his teacup, took a sip, and glanced down, taking in the expressions of everyone present. This Tai soul liquid was enhanced using the heavenly soul liquid from Tianshan Temple. The immortality of the soul is indeed the most crucial effect, but Zhou Yun did not expect that everyone seemed not to be very satisfied with this effect. Alas, what a miscalculation. It seems that although everyone is pursuing immortality and climbing to higher realms, they don't want to live another life, Zhou Yun sighed. Young master, there are still many uncertainties in living a second life, Uncle Zhou explained from the side. After thinking for a moment, he continued. Moreover, most cultivators, after walking the path of cultivation, develop a slight fear of that elusive immortality, as if it is something they can never reach no matter how hard they try. Zhou Yun nodded. Most cultivators only want to live this life well and do not want to experience an uncertain afterlife. He put down the teacup and transmitted his voice to Yu Tong below. Zhou Yun originally thought that he only needed to introduce the core effects, but now it seems that the additional effects of Tai soul liquid may be even more sought after by cultivators. As a top-grade 7th-tier spiritual item, Tai soul liquid naturally cannot have only one effect. When introducing the effects of items, Pengyun auction only introduces the most important effects. 300 million. 310 million. 320 million. The competition below was not fierce. It took a while for the price to reach around 300 million. Standing on the auction stage, Yu Tong looked listless. All she wanted now was to end this round of auction as soon as possible. Just then, Zhou Yun's voice rang in her ears. After hearing Zhou Yun's words, her jade-like eyes lit up. He glanced around at the crowd and shouted, 350 million. Are there any other fellow Taoists who would like to bid? This is a 7th-grade top-quality spiritual item. Fellow Taoists, you don't think its effects are just as simple as making the soul immortal, do you? Yu Tong skillfully picked up the conversation. Everyone's attention was drawn to the jade pupil, and the cultivators who were still bidding stopped. The item's effects are truly negligible. If it weren't for its cheap price, they wouldn't want to buy it. Now they want to hear if the Tai soul liquid has any better effects. Tai soul liquid, a top-grade 7th-rank liquid. Its main function is to allow cultivators to possess a trace of Tai divine soul, giving them the possibility of living another life. Yu Tong repeated the effects of the Tai soul liquid, then looked down at the cultivators below. He chuckled softly. Have any of you fellow Taoists considered whether this wisp of Tai's divine soul can truly only be of use after death? Chapter 199 7th Order Supreme Grade. Innate Primordial Embryo. Of course not. This Tai divine soul has two other functions. First, it can exist independently of the body, becoming a clone with independent thought, capable of cultivation and growth. Secondly, Tai's divine soul wanders in the void, enabling him to comprehend the fundamental laws more clearly and accelerate the speed at which cultivators comprehend the laws. After hearing Yu Tong's explanation, everyone's eyes lit up. These two effects were far more practical than the immortality of the soul, and would be of greater help to cultivators. They couldn't understand why Pengyun Auction didn't start with this kind of introduction. And then these two very useful abilities are omitted. If Zhou Yun knew, he would definitely shout, "I'm innocent." The core function of Tai Soul Liquid is to ensure the immortality of the soul, but who knew that everyone would react so calmly to such a heaven-defying effect? Yu Tong noticed that everyone's emotions had been stirred up, so she made a direct announcement. The auction will continue. 400 million. 500 million. 600 million. Auction prices continued to rise, becoming much more intense than before. 10 billion. Old Hua raised the price. After learning about the specific effects of Tai Soul Liquid, he had an estimated price in mind. As long as it didn't exceed his psychological price, he felt he could get it. Moreover, he felt that the final transaction price of the Tai Soul Liquid would not be too high. Although it works well, it's still too niche. In the cultivation world, not many cultivators would cultivate clones unless they obtained some kind of heaven-defying inheritance related to clones. Creating clones is certainly tempting. After all, having an extra person to help one comprehend laws, supernatural powers, and cultivation techniques. However, sometimes clones are uncontrollable, especially clones with independent thinking and the ability to grow. In the end, they may break free from one's control and even turn against oneself. Therefore, the method of cultivating by creating clones is not very widespread. For example, Feng Yan of Chihuang Mountain shook his head and sighed after hearing the introduction. No, the clone is too uncontrollable. This ability to create clones is likely a derivative of the Tai Soul Liquid's ability to ensure the immortality of the soul. When the original body dies, the clone becomes another version of oneself and can continue to exist. But is this living clone still yourself? The auction continued. In fact, these concerns belong to the big shots. Ordinary cultivators wouldn't think so much. They only wanted to increase their own strength. 200 billion. 300 billion. 400 billion. 500 billion. There was a moment of silence, and no one raised the price any further. Bang! Congratulations, fellow Daoist, on successfully obtaining the 7th grade Supreme Tai Soul Liquid for 50 billion high-grade spirit stones. As Yu Tong made the announcement, a smile appeared on Elder Hua's face. Not bad. I didn't expect to get a 7th grade top-quality spiritual item with just 50 billion high-grade spirit stones. Old Hua nodded with a smile, rubbing his beard. The transaction was completed, and an invisible drop of water appeared in front of him. He gently lifted it up with his hand, a look of surprise flashing across Old Hua's face. He never imagined that this tiny drop would carry such a heavy weight. This must be the first time I've successfully bid at the Pengyun auction. It's really not easy, Old Hua exclaimed. In previous auctions, a mysterious and powerful figure had always been present, and each time he had his eye on something, he couldn't compete with the other for it. I never expected to find a bargain this time. Suddenly, Mr. Hua realized something. No, there should be a mysterious expert at this auction, but they just don't seem interested. Elder Hua thought of the previous competition for the 7 Emotions Dao Fruit, and the big shot who offered top-grade spirit stones as a token of his interest. The reason I was able to obtain the Tai Soul Liquid this time was entirely because the other party didn't need it. He won the auction, but then just took it to other places to auction. Regardless, as a 7th-tier top-grade spiritual item, 50 billion high-grade spirit stones is really cheap. Sigh. I'm already very satisfied to have obtained this item at the Pengyun auction this time. Elder Hua sealed the Tai Soul Liquid in a jade bottle. Below, Yu Tong was extremely dissatisfied with the previous round of auctions. Both were 7th grade top-quality spiritual items, but the 7 Emotions Dao Fruit was auctioned for 300 billion high-grade spirit stones, while the Tai Soul Liquid was only auctioned for 50 billion high-grade spirit stones. Go for it. Go for it. Yu Tong silently cheered herself on. He smiled again and took out the fourth item for the auction. Suddenly, golden lotuses appeared in the auction hall, accompanied by golden spiritual rain falling down, and layers of exotic fragrance rippled outwards towards the crowd. The people below felt refreshed and invigorated, greedily inhaling the spiritual energy and ethereal beauty in the air. Their bodies seemed to be revitalized, and a tiny seed slowly sprouted within them, giving birth to new life. What is this? It feels so good. I don't know, I feel an itch inside my body, like something is breaking out. All the hidden injuries in my body have disappeared. Sit down and start cultivating. Not only the cultivators below, but also the big shots were attracted by the items above the auction platform. This intense vitality gradually ignited a burning passion in their eyes. This thing is far more attractive than Tai Soul liquid. The strange phenomena it exudes can give a general idea of its effects, which are probably healing or body reshaping. Only such a spiritual creature could contain such a magnificent vitality. A moment later, Yu Tong waved her hand to dispel the strange phenomenon, and everyone woke up. They seemed to have had a good haul, as most people had smiles on their faces. That's right, the chronic illness in my body has been cured. I feel like I have another chance to break through to the foundation establishment stage. This thing is amazing, I wonder what it is. I don't recognize it. It doesn't look like a medicinal pill. All eyes turned to the auction stage, where a strange object shrouded in a hazy aura appeared before them. It had no fixed shape and resembled an unborn baby. They couldn't understand it, they just felt that the items brought out at this Pengyun auction were all very strange. Only the Buddha of Joy, ever since the appearance of the seven emotions path fruit, has never lost the doubt on his face. He felt a sense of familiarity with all three things, especially the seven emotions Tao fruit, which he was most familiar with. The Taoist aura it exuded was remarkably similar to the seven emotions pill of their joyful sect. He searched his memory thoroughly but could not find any corresponding information. When Feng Yen of Chihuang Mountain appeared, he also showed some interest. This thing should have a similar effect to the burning heart wutong fruit. I can take it back and keep it just in case. No one would complain about not having enough of something that can save lives. The last time the goddess was in a situation where there was no similar spiritual object, so they had no choice but to use their supernatural powers to seal her soul inside her body. Fortunately, the goddess eventually obtained the burning heart wutong fruit, which solved her physical problem. If Chihuang Mountain had possessed this item back then, the goddess's situation would surely have been resolved. Therefore, this life-saving item is of paramount importance even to Chihuang Mountain. Yu Tong slowly spoke. The fourth item in this auction is a 7th grade top-quality item, the innate primordial embryo. Chapter 200 The effects of the innate primordial embryo. It has one core benefit and two additional benefits. Core efficacy, reshaping the cultivator's foundation. Regardless of the original quality of the cultivator's spiritual root, even if it is a mortal body that cannot cultivate, it can still create a suitable innate spiritual body for you. The first additional benefit is that there is a very high chance of awakening a powerful innate supernatural ability during the use of the innate primordial embryo. The second additional benefit is that cultivators above the refinement void stage can choose to refine this item into their second primordial spirit. This time, Yu Tong learned from her previous experience and no longer omitted anything, introducing the additional effects of the innate primordial embryo as well. Wow! After hearing Yu Tong's introduction, the cultivators present were all shocked, and their eyes turned to the innate primordial embryo on the auction stage with great interest. Most cultivators may not understand the effects of the additional benefits, but they do understand the core benefits. A spiritual body is a physique that can directly transform a cultivator into a prodigy. Once a spiritual body is awakened, it will inevitably cause a frenzy among many forces. If I were to consume the primordial embryo, I wonder what kind of spiritual body would awaken. I like to pursue freedom, and I should awaken the wind spirit body. I have a fiery temper, so I might be a sword spirit. I want a golden spear that can pierce the heavens, probably a spear spirit. The cultivators present were discussing what kind of spiritual body they would awaken, but only a few knew that this thing was just for them to see. They were just ordinary cultivators with no powerful background. The innate embryo is destined to be bought by a powerful figure and left for his beloved descendants to use. These ordinary cultivators can only envy this path. One must fight for it with their own life. Compared to ordinary cultivators, high-level cultivators hesitated. The core function of this innate primordial embryo is undoubtedly the most important, but unfortunately they cannot use it. As for giving it to beloved juniors, sorry, I don't have that kind of thing. The additional benefits are not bad, but the thought of giving up one's innate spiritual body makes one feel a little heartache. At this moment, they wished their level were lower, so that they could meet the criteria for awakening an innate spiritual body. Only those who reach their level understand the importance of cultivating physical constitution. The reason why the geniuses of those great powers are so dazzling is because they have awakened powerful spiritual bodies, Tao bodies, and divine bodies. Unfortunately, that's reality. If their cultivation level is really low enough to qualify for awakening a spiritual body, then they would probably be like the many cultivators below, only able to dream about it, without even having the qualifications to participate in the auction. Of course, there were still a few cultivators who were not all alone. After hearing the introduction, the first thing that came to mind was my beloved juniors. Among them, there is one strongest being, Pengyun of Qihuang Mountain. Such an item actually exists. Pengyun exclaimed excitedly. Recently, Qihuang Mountain has indeed been searching for spiritual objects that can awaken a physical constitution, and unexpectedly encountered one at the Pengyun auction. He had previously guessed it was a healing item, but it turned out to be a congenital embryo. The Pengyun merchant ship is truly amazing. This was the first time he had ever directly experienced the mystery of the Pengyun merchant ship. Previously, his main concern was the suppression of his cultivation level. Now, he genuinely has high expectations for the Pengyun merchant ship. He recalled the excited expression on Huang Shu's face when she talked to him about the Pengyun merchant ship. At the time, he didn't understand why she, as an elder of Qihuang Mountain, was praising such a small merchant ship, which he felt was a disgrace to Qihuang Mountain. Now he seems to understand Huang Shu's feelings a little. However, we'll have to wait until the auction ends and then personally enter the exchange tower to find out the specifics. On the auction stage, Yu Tong was delighted to see the heated discussion. This auction will surely fetch a good price. When everyone's emotions reached their peak, it was announced, 7th grade top quality innate primordial embryo, starting price is 100 million high-grade spirit stones. Each bid must be at least 10 million high-grade spirit stones. The auction begins. Bang! As the auction hammer fell, shouts of bidding erupted from the crowd. 100 million. 300 million. 1 billion. The price quickly reached 1 billion high-grade spirit stones, a level of competition that Tai Soul Liquid could never match. 2 billion. 3 billion. 40 billion. The main reason is that the effects of the innate primordial embryo are too practical. Whether it is the spiritual body, supernatural powers, or the second primordial spirit, these effects that can increase strength are very intuitively displayed in front of everyone. The ever-increasing prices around them shattered the illusions of the general public. They all sighed with emotion. Sigh, I wanted it so badly, but my spirit has just left me. Let's just enjoy our watermelon. Although I've lost my spear spirit, I'll continue to practice my spear skills diligently. My master's wife should be able to provide me with plenty of cultivation resources. Brother, could you share your marksmanship skills? My master's wife needs them too. The onlookers discussed and watched the competition among the big shots, creating a lively atmosphere. The price had already reached 50 billion high-grade spirit stones, and Elder Hua from Wanbage was there to snag another bargain. However, it's highly unlikely that you'll find it this time. Finding bargains at Pengyun auction is not so easy. 1 billion top-grade spirit stones. The moment the price was announced, the entire room fell silent. Everyone knew that it was that mysterious cultivator who had made the move, and it was still a top-grade spirit stone. The fact that a top-grade spirit stone, which most people had never even seen before, was worth $1 billion shocked them. Huo Lao paused, his face turning somewhat grave. This was indeed within his expectations. He knew that his biggest competitor at this Pengyun auction was this mysterious cultivator, and that the others were not worth worrying about. Oh my, this innate embryo is a real treasure. It will surely fetch a good price in the central region. Even if you keep it for yourself, it's still a good choice. Should we try something else? Many thoughts flashed through Elder Hua's mind as he continuously weighed the value of the innate embryo. There was no way around it. As a businessman, assessing the value of goods had become second nature to him. Do what you want to do. He's from Wanbage. What's there to be afraid of? 200 billion high-grade spirit stones. 2 billion top-grade spirit stones. 300 billion high-grade spirit stones. 40 billion top-grade spirit stones. The onlookers shook their heads. The aura emanating from this superior spirit stone seemed much weaker, and everyone had probably guessed the final outcome for the innate primordial embryo. That mysterious big shot is too extravagant. Every time he raises the price, it's by 1 billion top-grade spirit stones. It was as if the spirit stones were just numbers in the other person's mouth, worthless at all. They even haggle over the cost of low-grade spirit stones. Sigh, I'll give up. Old Hua sighed. The two sides are not even on the same level. What's the point of arguing? Moments later, as the auction hammer fell, the ownership of the item was determined. Bang!